Hi, Tom Blodgett here from Jende Industries, and today we're going to sharpen Coupe blades. So a couple of things about Coupe blades before we begin is this is not a 101 level of sharpening that we're going to do. No matter how you're going to do these, it's curved. Yeah, you might be able to clamp something here if you're using a system or whatever, but generally there's more to the meets the eye on these. They're not that simple. So the biggest problem, of course, is that we have curved blades here. We have so basically it's a slicer that just rotates around, well, this way. What we'll need to do is copy this angle, and we're going to actually reinforce this. Once you add mechanized anything, once you add speed to something, especially something this is going to be rotating at a high degree, you don't want such refinement as much as you want shape. So we're going to get in there. What we're going to do is going to get the bevel here, and then we're going to add a micro bevel here to reinforce the edge, because it needs to withstand chopping things, you know, harder things like nuts, frozen foods, seeds, pits, you know, whatever's going to be in this thing, and it needs to withstand a lot of impact. So it's not so much about being super refined as it is about being a good shape. First thing we're going to do is I want to mark, because I have an obstruction in my way here. We're going to flip this over and mark where that is. It's going to come in handy in a second. All right, so that's basically the end here. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here as well. I'm going to mark that on the bottom. And I'm actually marking it here so I know where the line is here. So when I'm going to sharpen, I'll know where to stop as I'm coming around later. The easiest way to actually sharpen these is to take a file and just put on the bevel line here, so you can see the thin sliver that's at the edge at micro bevel. But these are kind of beat up, they're chipped, there's a burr here, this is, you know, rolled edge. Again, these have been used, they're beat up. So if we did that with the file, ultimately it would get too thick. It's good for once, maybe twice, but after that you really got to address the whole bevel. Now another problem here is that these are actually concave, not convex, they're concave because they're made with a round wheel. So this is actually a slight hollow ground in here. So we're going to do our best I can to kind of match this. We're just going to thin it out just a little bit, and then we're going to come in and put another micro bevel here. Once again, this is not 101. I'm sure there's a lot of better ways to do this with other machines, other smaller grinders or whatever. This is the fastest, most efficient way for us right now. Safety, be careful. This is, I did actually cut myself. We were doing another one. You know, as I was cleaning it off, I sliced a little bit. So they get sharp. So just be aware, be careful, be safe if you're going to do this. Okay, with that said, we'll begin. On the belt here, we're going to use a 2x72. I've got a 100 grit belt. I'm going to use the slack portion of the belt. We could use the platen, but it's too flat, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong with this. What we want is a consistent angle as we go around here. We want this to be a consistent curve because it's going to slice through. So what this is essentially an Alaskan ulu with a handle. You know, it's two ulus together, krull if you're old enough. But so it's a slicing motion that we need. So we don't want a wavy bevel. So by using the slack portion of the belt, you see the give here allows us to get in there and match the concaveness and give a convexity to it. And this is actually some acrobatics here. You see the flex that I'm having. The black line in here tells me where to stop. And then what I'm going to do is really just carefully keep my angle and roll it around. And I'm using actually on the belt, I'm only at about 25% on my speed control. I'm not doing it really fast. One, because I don't want to build up heat. Two, because I am doing a lot of acrobatics, and the faster the belt goes, the more impact any mistake is going to have on that. So I want to minimize that. So minimize heat and minimize impact of any wonkiness that I have without a jig. I don't sharpen enough of these to make a jig, and so this is the best I can do without it. So we're going to come in low, we're going to thin it out, the bevel, and then we're going to slowly work it up. Then we're going to come in, I've got this angle here, and I'm going to come in pretty straight in the end and put that secondary bevel right across. I'm going to come in, better to come in lower and work back here a little bit than to come in too high and then have to fix everything. So just going to see where we're at, and you can mark the blade with a Sharpie if you want. I'm going to start about here. And I can see I've got a thin line here and I've got a thin line here. So I'm actually hitting the right angle because again, this is concave, not convex. So this is a hollow inside. So I've actually hit the top and the bottom pretty accurately. Thank you very much. So we just continue. Beginning to see now where I'm starting to hit. Again, the belt's moving kind of slow. I'm a little on the back end of it right now, which is okay. And I'll slowly adjust to move up. All right, now we're really seeing the effects of the belt. It's starting to get rid of the concaveness here. So we just got to do this a little bit more, and it's pretty fairly even throughout. Again, technique on this one is paramount to everything. And we're trying to do, and again, we're going to miss this spot in here. That's just the way it's going to be. As this is slicing across, it's not as imperative here because it's going to come across anyway and get smacked by the rest of the blade. So. And again, as in other videos, which I'll post here, like on the fillet video, we see that this cut in, the plunge, is always extended further anyway than where the actual cutting edge begins. So you can watch that video too. So let's continue. You can see the bevel here is now, I've got my scratches on there for the most part. There's a thin line in the middle here. There's a little concaveness. Again, that hollow ground in the center is still kind of there, but overall I'm very pleased that I've established these scratches on there. Like I said, missing that spot right there, it's just inevitable on this. But the whole bevel is basically redone and cleaned up a little bit, and it's actually a little flatter now. We're going to come back in and grind the actual edge on this right now. We've got a really nice secondary bevel here that's going to be our edge. So we thinned out a little bit to allow clearance, and the convexity that we're adding to it actually gives it more resilience rather than the concaveness. And then we're putting in this more obtuse edge angle. It'll allow it to cut in and stay strong and then keep going around. So there's the backside that we're going to do. I'll show that in a second. I'm going to continue on with this blade here. It's the same thing because these are just in different positions. So we're going to do the same thing on this side here. Okay, so I've done both sides of the blade here, and now we've switched out the belt to a trizact. I got a 30 micron trizact. Again, this is more, I don't want to go any finer than this. I could use a 65 trizact, but I think this is a little too rough. What we want to do is just clean everything up. Again, speed is more about shape in this case, not about refinement, because trust me, it's going to cut. As long as it's got a good shape and it needs to hold up. So we're going to do the same thing, come back and just, you know, color in the lines. I'm going to start with the bottom here a little bit. So here we're going to use the platen. And again, I've got that area here. I'm going to come in, just use the platen and keep it flat. I don't want to put any angles or anything like that. I'm just going to put it flat on the platen, and you'll see it'll clean up from where this is right now, sort of like a nothing. It's just flat. No scratches, no patterns or anything. I'm going to stay off the rubber as best I can. I don't want to start taking that away because that might depend. I don't know how deep this is in here. So I'm staying away from the rubber. I'm just going to come out to where my plunge line is and keep the handle part off and do it that way. So you see now we've got those nice scratches on there from the 30. You can see bits of the burr up top. So we'll come in and clean that up on the other side. Same on this side. So that's all we need to do to the bottom side. All we're doing is get rid of that burr there. We'll come back and clean it up after we get the bevel on this. So now we'll come in and clean up everything else. We're cleaning that up nice. We'll do a little bit more. Okay. So again, there's still that hollow in the middle here. We're not worried about that so much. But I've got a nice smooth line here. And you see it's way more refined than it was to begin with. So now we're going to come in at our 90-degree angle here. All right, and we'll clean that off once again here on the platen. And a very minimal. All right, so we'll do the other side now. We've already done the flat portion, so we'll come in. So the nice slower speeds on the belt, it keeps the heat down. It's a little warm, but it's not overheating. I did dip it in water at one point because it was getting warm. But overall, I think our burrs here, our edge is there. This is definitely sharp now. So we're going to come and buff this just to get rid of any burrs. So when we're buffing, the backside we're going to do flat against the wheel. I'm not trying to get a bevel. I'm actually going to be a little bit underneath. I'm going to come in flat. On the bevel side, again, you got to be careful here not to throw anything. We're going to do the bevel side. Yeah, this is going to cut paper and other things. So before we do the paper test, the cutting test, I'm taking an older blade here that's not sharpened yet. And just an idea of where we're at. So, you know, mind you, this is still processing food. Oh, I got something. A little bit at the tip. That's what she said, but yeah, I mean, it's ripping. I'm trying, guys. That's not working. Again, and this still cuts in the Coupe. I'm sure pretty effectively, you know, because speed. Shape. However, you throw in something with a little more danger to it. Coupe blades. Do be careful when doing these. They are not for the faint of heart. And yeah, let me know. Let me know what you think. Other ways of you guys sharpening them out there. I'd love to know what you guys think. If you like that video, please like and subscribe. We'll sharpen more stuff and get videos out. The like button, subscribe button here. And watch some other videos on our sharpening up here. Look forward to seeing you at the next one. Thank you.